Shalom, first and foremost, when say call him like Yelba Shemel Shabbat Shemal Kakodash, the honest the elders and the apostles, the great Muslim GMS, who do rule and teach well. Today we're going to go into quick things. Puerto Rico power outage. This happened a day ago. Puerto Rico power outage leaves most of the island in the dark ahead of Easter. You get people, these tourists flooding up the hotels there, things like that. You know, officials demand answers as crew works to restore power to another Puerto Rico blackout. AP News. Forbes, nearly half of Puerto Rico still without power after all its power plants failed. Right, so what is this? One I always get, Second 16, scourge for amendment. Right, but the people will not hearken. They will not listen. They don't want to listen. They don't want to learn. They don't want to do nothing. Right, but just continue on. Right, and live in wickedness. Right. He is wicked, let him be wicked still. He is righteous, let him be righteous still. Right? So whatever the Most High has set up for these people, we just gonna let it play out. Right? We're not gonna see us going down there, trying to rebuild Puerto Rico or something and try to inhabit. It's madness, man. We'll go to these different places and figure all that stuff out in the kingdom, man. But for right now, wherever you are, you just push the truth wherever you are, and you make use of the internet, which does the heavy lifting for us, right? This thing and all this stuff here is all judgment from the Most High anyway, man, right? And you see these things go down, these different calamities. But hey, man, Jacob's trouble. These things gonna build, and we're gonna see it. These Americans, Babylonians, is gonna come to here as well. Right, and it could very well be, blackouts, things like that. So let's go get to two precepts. So this is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 15, verse 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. Right? Well, I like sheep to slaughter. Sheep are docile, real, submissive and things like that. And you can just follow the shepherd, things like that. Like John 10, docile, homely kind of, chill creatures, man, chill animals, right? And, we're likened unto that, sheep, the flock, right? So, my sheep, hear my voice, there are those that come in and creep in unawares, these different, guys that come in, and they're not built for this, and maybe they don't know what they got themselves into. Right? And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but that's what that scripture means. The elders, brothers go into the scriptures all the time. We go into those brothers go into those things about, hey, if you're in this thing, you need to know what you're a part of. That you're joining this thing, but you're just gonna be sunshines and rainbows. Of course, Most High will bless you. Yeah, but he that cometh to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Right? But I'll bring them with a mighty hand and stretched out arm, and will smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the lands thereof. Right? So those that bring them, right, save us, with stretched out arm, meaning his power, his might, right? Smite Egypt with plagues, right? As before, right? And one of those plagues was darkness. And, Most High very well bring that thing back to here, right? And will destroy all the land thereof, right? He'll destroy Egypt thoroughly, right? Ancient Egypt is it's never been, it's not going to be thoroughly destroyed, right? It's talking about America, Babylon, right? And, you also get apparitions. But we're not going to go into that one today. This is a beautiful chapter right here. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 1. Right? For great are thy judgments, and cannot be expressed. Therefore our nurtured souls have erred. right? And you get nurtured, right, spiritually by the elders and apostles, right? On down, our elders on down, learning from them, taking heed to this truth, right? That's how you get nurtured, right? Learning, from brothers and things like that, be swift to hear and not swift to speak, right? That's a mark of wisdom right there, mark of humility. And you're not going to be able to learn if you're always, trying to run your mouth, right? You have to be reborn. You have to be like a babe again. Right? When you were a baby, baby didn't say much. You just kind of sat back and absorbed. You got to be like a sponge and learn and grow. If the Most High is dealing with you, then you'll be like a sponge. You'll just read, watch the videos, watch the videos. You don't got to do it all day, every day. I mean, of course you do it every day, but you don't have to do it all day. There's plenty of stuff you can look at. You got movies and things like that. And of course, there's a balance. So you can have a life. If you got a wife, you can go, be with your woman. You got, kids, take care of your kids. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. For when righteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, fettered with the bonds of a long night, lay their exile from the eternal providence. Right, and this is talking about the actual, the ancient Egyptians, right? Like not spiritual Egypt, not America, the ancient Egyptians. Now, when we read in 2 Kings 15, things like that can pop off, and the same thing can happen here, right? So, holy nations Israel don't really need this. They were shut up in the house because they were in darkness, right? Darkness so thick that, they couldn't even strike a light in there, right? Exiled from the eternal providence. Providence means mercy, right? So, Most High had no mercy on them, all in that day. And then, man, they're still people. They were still around in history. I mean, they fucked our people up many times when our people were going off, so, still over there. But, that's just an example of what is forth to come. Things like that could very well happen here, right? So, once they call him like El Bashim Mashab, Bashim Al Kakudash yet again, right? And let that be that. Until next.